I and 99 others were unexpectedly swept into a game for the poor, where the winner would receive $4 billion in prize money. But the rule is that you can only use 200,000 to survive for 7 days. If it were you, how would you survive? As for me, a professional pauper, I found the loophole of this game at first glance. Very quickly after that, the electronic voice of the system rang out. Welcome 100 players to the poor man's game. 1. The initial capital is 200,000. The goal is to survive 7 days in the game. The winner will receive $4 billion in prize money. Exceeding the spending limit, dying, or falling out of the game area will all be considered as being eliminated, and you'll have to bear a debt of $4 billion. The voice paused for a moment, carrying a sly tone. Now, are there any cowards who want to back out? You gotta be kidding me. I can survive 7 days just drinking tap water. Standing nearby, a chubby guy wearing a cheap t-shirt chimed in, 200,000 to buy steamed buns and cold water. Saving a bit is enough to use. Add a bit more effort, and a bicycle turns into a motorbike. Only an idiot would back out. The crowd began to murmur, carrying a blind excitement. Very well. Out of 100 players, not a single one is backing out. The game rules are officially in effect. Players will no longer be able to back out. 100 players have been put into position. Welcome to the airport maze. Wishing you all good luck. At the same time, a flash of white light flared up before my eyes. I realized I was in a modern airport, an airport so massive that its end could not be seen. Because of that, the stream of people passing by was bustling, making it impossible to distinguish who was a player and who was an NPC. In my game account right now was the 200,000 initial capital. At the same time, 3 indicators appeared on my interface: hunger, thirst, and energy. Currently, all 3 indicators were at their maximum levels. I saw a convenience store on the opposite side, so I walked over to see how the prices were. Just as I stepped in front of the refrigerator, a desperate cry, like someone about to weep, rang out. Oh my God, a bottle of water is 50,000. This is robbery. I stepped forward. My eyes glanced over the shelves, my heart sinking to the very bottom. A small cake was 50,000, a sandwich was 150,000, a steamed bun was 40,000 each. Even the cheapest pack of soda crackers cost 70,000. With a limit of over 25,000 per day, it wasn't even enough to buy half a bottle of water. The chubby guy looked at me, his face filled with absolute despair. Number 66, we're doomed. We're really doomed. This amount of money is only enough to buy 3 bottles of water. We will definitely die in a week. I sighed. The system wasn't a charity organization. I knew right away it wouldn't be that simple. Other players also rushed into the convenience store, and their faces also showed shock and panic. The chubby guy pulled me aside and said, Brother number 66, I am player number 44, Ngo Chi. Let's form an alliance. If anyone bullies you, I will beat them up. After saying that, he demonstrated a few grappling moves. He seemed quite agile, but before fully understanding the game's rules, I didn't want to form an alliance with anyone. Therefore, I tactfully declined and left the convenience store alone. The first thing was to find a free water source. Outside the restroom, I found a public drinking water fountain. Moreover, next to it, I also found 2 empty water bottles that someone had thrown away. I rinsed them clean and filled both bottles to the brim. The drinking water problem had been solved. Cost, 0. Not bad. Next was the problem of replenishing energy. I saw a coffee shop. On the condiment counter, packets of white sugar, creamer pods, and packets of brown sugar were neatly arranged. Sugar is a very important source of energy, and sugar packets can be used in emergencies. To prevent hypoglycemia, I kept a deadpan face and walked over there, my movements as natural and practiced as if fetching things from my own home. Several packets of sugar and a few creamer pods were instantly tucked into my pocket. The entire process took less than 2 seconds. After that, I leisurely walked out of the coffee shop and went to a deserted corner. Tearing open 2 packets of sugar, I poured them straight into my mouth. The sweetness instantly exploded in my mouth, bringing a false sense of satisfaction. Sugar was done. Cost was 0. The air conditioning in the airport was running at full capacity, as cold as an ice cellar. Perhaps the system intentionally did this. The colder it is, the faster energy is consumed. And my thin clothes could not block the cold at all. I could only rely on moving around to stay warm. I found a blanket in the trash can that someone had thrown away after getting off a plane. As time passed, that feeling became more and more intense. When it got dark, I hovered around a bakery. In the display case, the unsold loaves of bread emitted an incredibly tempting wheat aroma. My stomach growled loudly. I relied on the keen intuition of a dirt-poor pauper to make a judgment. At this hour, the bread was probably already discounted. A loaf of sliced bread, originally priced at $30, now only cost $15. But it still wasn't the right time. At closing time, they might offer an even deeper discount, or it might even be free. Every single penny saved was an opportunity to survive. I sat on the bench opposite the bakery, half closing my eyes to rest. Right at this moment, from all directions, 20 to 30 figures swarmed in, rushing madly toward the bakery. The tiny bakery was packed with people in the blink of an eye. Amidst the chaos, I saw people waving paper money. Some directly reached out to snatch the bread off the shelves. The staff shouted in panic, "Line up, line up," but it was completely useless. In just a few short minutes, all the discounted bread on the shelves, including the loaf of sliced bread I was eyeing, had been swept clean. Those who managed to buy showed a look of relief, as if they had just escaped a disaster, while those who couldn't beat their chests and stomp their feet. Despairing eyes, hopeless complaining and sighing. By this time, my hunger level had decreased by 10%. I took a deep breath to suppress the spasms in my stomach. My gaze shifted away from the chaotic crowd, looking up at the high ceiling of the airport. On the giant flight information display, the red status of the flights kept scrolling by. It was time to show my true capabilities. In this airport, players could roam freely anywhere, even without a plane ticket. One could even go to the boarding gates. I quickly scanned the large screen, pinpointing exactly some information about delayed flights highlighted in red and bolded, delays of over 6 hours. Those are my prey. So, dragging my exhausted footsteps, I walked toward a boarding gate where a small crowd had already gathered. The air carried a faint odor of sweat and restlessness. Boarding gate 102 delayed for 8 hours. The stranded passengers were crowding around the ground staff. The ground staff was a young woman, her face flushed red. The passenger's saliva was almost spraying onto her face. "Hey, how does your airline do business? I'm crying from hunger over here. Are you going to fix this or not?" "Compensation. We demand compensation. Pay me right now." Amidst the chaotic scene, the voice of the ground staff member was drowned out by the shouts. She was on the verge of crying, and I suddenly realized this was an opportunity. I used all my strength to push my way into the middle of the crowd. I stood blocking the ground staff member. "Everyone, shut up!" I roared with all my might. The crowd was stunned into silence by this unexpected event. I pointed at the mother carrying her crying child, then shouted loudly to all the passengers. Look at how badly the baby is crying over there. If we argue until the heavens and earth turn upside down here, will the plane be able to take off? The airline is operating irresponsibly, and they must be held accountable. But what do we need most right now? It's food, it's a place to rest. We have to save our energy to fight them to the bitter end. I turned to the ground staff member, who was about to collapse, and spoke extremely fast. Everyone is very agitated. The urgent thing right now is to appease the passengers. Meal vouchers, hotel vouchers, distribute them immediately. Let everyone eat first so they can calm down, otherwise things will get even worse. Can you shoulder that responsibility? I already told them meal vouchers and hotel vouchers can be distributed. It's just that they refuse to take them, the staff member said aggrievedly. Everyone, please line up. Receive the vouchers according to your boarding passes. At a time like this, you're still talking about procedures? I interrupted her. I pointed to the nursing mother holding her child. Look at how exhausted this sister is. She's already waited for 8 hours, and she still has to wait in line to get your meal voucher. I turned to the nursing mother and said, "Sister, give me your boarding pass. I'll go get it for you." I reached out my hand with an air that allowed no refusal. As if grabbing onto a lifesaver, she immediately shoved her boarding pass into my hand. Having a pioneer, the effect was immediate. Other passengers who were also traveling with the elderly or young children, or who just looked particularly exhausted, scrambled to shove their boarding passes into my hands as well. "Please get one for me too," and me. In the blink of an eye, my hands were holding over a dozen boarding passes. I turned to the staff member, held out the stack of passes in front of her, and lowered my voice. "Hurry up. Resolve the most urgent cases first. It's better than letting the situation blow up and get on the news. Isn't that right? Give me 2 extra meal vouchers, and I'll help you appease these people with young kids. It's a win-win situation." The staff member looked at me with deep gratitude. She quickly operated the machine and soon took out a stack of meal vouchers. She counted out several vouchers corresponding to the number of passes I was holding, then swiftly slipped in 2 extra vouchers. She mixed them together and stuffed them into my hand, her eyes full of gratitude. Done. My heart was pounding, but my face remained calm. "Sister, here is yours. Quickly take the baby to eat." "Brother, take this." I quickly handed back the meal vouchers and their respective boarding passes. Moving swiftly and cleanly, in the end, I tightly grasped the 2 extra meal vouchers. I stuffed them into my inner pocket, then turned and shouted to the crowd, "Everyone, hurry up and get your vouchers and go eat first. Rest and save your energy. We'll come back and settle the score with them later." Taking advantage of the crowd's attention being focused on getting the vouchers, I slipped away like a loach. In the blink of an eye, I had squeezed out of the crowd and disappeared into the bustling corridor of the terminal. To survive in this game, one must be better at bending the rules than an ordinary person. Just as I left the waiting hall, I saw Chi again. He smiled very friendlily and said, "Number 66, I've seen your capabilities. Just now you looked exactly like those mob bosses negotiating in the movies. Are you really not considering forming an alliance with us? Later on, we might need to help each other out." Only 1 day had passed, and he already had 4 other players beside him. I still rejected his invitation, took my meal voucher, and went to eat a full meal. The hunger indicator was temporarily filled, but the feeling of exhaustion washed over me like a tide. My energy bar had dropped below 50%. It was now 8 p.m. The crowd in the airport had clearly thinned out, and most of the shops had started to close. The lights also became dim, and an indescribable eerie atmosphere began to spread. The benches in the terminal all had armrests, preventing people from lying flat on their backs. A young player, perhaps unable to bear it anymore, wrapped himself in a thin jacket and curled up on the ground, trying to fall asleep. But less than 2 minutes later, a strong beam of light shone directly onto his face. "Get up. Lying down is not allowed here." The security guard voice held no emotion whatsoever. The young player ignored this NPC and turned over to continue sleeping. Suddenly, a group of security guards rushed out from the corner without a word of explanation. They forcefully lifted him up and threw him out of the main gates of the airport. On the public screen of the game, a notification appeared. "Player number 13 has been eliminated for leaving the game area. Debt of 4 billion. Right after that, players in other areas were also eliminated in a similar fashion. The system was using exhaustion and the freezing cold to drain the last bit of the player's sanity. By this time, my energy bar was severely depleted. To avoid being eliminated, I pulled the torn blanket over myself. Then I fell asleep on the bench in the waiting hall. The sunrise of the next day let us know that only 1 day of the game had passed. My energy bar had only barely recovered 15%, but the hunger indicator had once again dropped to 50%. I still had 1 meal voucher on me, so I wasn't in too much of a hurry. I drank some cold water and swallowed 2 packets of sugar. Then I continued to the departure hall to hunt for prey. A player suddenly lunged forward, snatching a hot dog from a child's hand. The child immediately burst into loud tears. Hearing the noise, security guards rushed over and tightly surrounded the player. Then they escorted him into a police car outside the airport. And at this moment, the system's notification rang out again. Player number 25 robbed an NPC of their food and was thrown out of the airport by security. Eliminated, debt of $4 billion. I had come to a realization. In this airport, no matter what you do, you must not alert the security. However, the airport was very strange today. Not a single flight was delayed. I guess that perhaps the loophole I had exploited had already been patched by the system. That whole day, I wandered around the waiting hall like an ordinary passenger, showing up at every shop that had food samples. Of course, I only ate and didn't buy, tasting the food while watching the expressions of the staff. After being discovered by them that I was only eating and not buying, I would hurriedly slip away. Holding out like this until evening, I resolved my dinner with the remaining meal voucher. Filling up the hunger indicator once more, today's energy bar had dropped even lower. This time, I didn't choose to sleep makeshiftly on a bench. I slipped into a dark, narrow side passage. At the end of the passage was a prime piece of real estate that I had discovered during the day, an abandoned equipment room with its door left slightly ajar. Inside, it was filled with miscellaneous items, but as long as the door was closed, it would instantly become a small world of my own. I had just stepped into the equipment room and hadn't even had time to shut the door tightly when, bang, a loud noise rang out. Someone had kicked open the equipment room door. The person who walked in was a tall, lanky guy with slanted eyes, and behind her were two punkish sidekicks. "This spot belongs to us now," the tall, lanky guy growled in my face. I had a slight impression of this tall guy. Yesterday at the bakery, he was the most aggressive one. He even snatched the bread out of the hands of two other players. I knew I couldn't afford to provoke him, so I decided to give up this fertile ground. Just as I walked to the door of the equipment room, the tall guy suddenly pulled out a knife and threatened, "Hand over all the money and food you have left on you right now. Otherwise, I'll end you." The madness and ruthlessness in their eyes told me that they would definitely do it for real. My brain started working at full speed. In a direct confrontation, I had no chance of winning. Handing over my money meant being eliminated and having to bear the $4 billion debt. What to do? What to do? I swallowed my saliva and said, "Boss, let's talk this out. Robbery will be judged by the system and lead to elimination. Cut the crap. Hurry up. I don't have any patience." The paring knife was pressed closer against my neck. I had to give up resisting and decisively transferred the $50,000 in my account to him. Only by surviving in the game would I have a chance to earn the $4 billion. The tall guy received the money and pushed me outside. They slammed the door shut. I heard a smug voice echoing from inside. "Direct robbery really works. It's a good thing he told us that robbing money wouldn't get us eliminated. With this, we don't have to worry about running out of money to spend." In their words, who was that? Robbing NPCs was not allowed, but robbing players, or even killing players, was fine. Who was it that knew the rules of the game like the back of their hand? It was only the second day, and I had already lost my only $50,000. No money, no food. Was I really just going to sit and wait for death? Not long after, on the game's public channel, someone anonymously announced, "Hurry to the bakery in Zone A, Floor L3. The bread here is on a half-price discount." The equipment room door opened, and the tall guy led his gang outside. I hastily hid to the side and tailed them toward the convenience store. The three of them used all the robbed money to buy soda crackers. Along with the electronic sound, signaling a successful payment, the system broadcast a notification in the game. Player number 5, number 49, number 61 are eliminated for exceeding the spending limit, bearing a debt of $4 billion. The tall guy let out a miserable howl, and before he could finish his words, his entire body vanished into thin air like a streak of light. The other two punks also disappeared along with him. Meanwhile, dozens of bags of soda crackers and 4 or 5 bags of bread fell to the ground. I immediately lunged forward, took off my outer jacket, and tightly wrapped up the crackers and bread. Sure enough, I had guessed correctly. The system had said from the start that exceeding the spending limit would result in elimination, but everyone's account only had $50,000. So how could anyone exceed the spending limit? There was only one possibility. Robbing other players' money and spending more than the initial capital would be counted as exceeding the limit. But the tall guy had snatched people's bread at the bakery and wasn't eliminated. From this, it showed that robbing other people's food was not counted against the limit. It was predictable that in the coming days, more people would see through this rule, and they would beat each other bloody over food. Therefore, this pile of food in my hands absolutely had to be hidden well. With this amount of food, holding out until the game ended would definitely not be a problem. So I found 5 places that I considered safe, then divided the crackers and hid them there. Unlocking one location each day would allow me to survive the remaining 5 days. Having finished all this, my physical strength had severely depleted. Before long, I fell asleep again on a bench in the waiting hall. The game entered its 3rd day, and a violent bout of coughing echoed from not too far away. It immediately attracted the attention of everyone around. It was player number 47. That seemingly frail girl was curled up on the cold metal bench. Her body was shivering violently, her face flushed red from coughing. It was even slightly purple. Her boyfriend, who was also a player, showed a look of disgust. "What's wrong with you? If you have a fever, don't try to force it until the 7th day." Player number 47's voice was hoarse and weak, accompanied by a heavy nasal tone. "Suddenly I feel so cold and uncomfortable. Adung, can you hug me?" "No way. What if you infect me?" Suddenly, a piercing alarm blared throughout the terminal without any warning signs. A series of heavy and rhythmic footsteps echoed from the corridor far away. Epidemic prevention personnel, wearing white protective suits, easily hoisted player number 47 up. "Let me go. I don't want to be eliminated." "Adung, save me, save me." But Adung didn't even look at her. He turned his head and ran away. The epidemic prevention personnel ignored player 47's cries and pushed the stretcher away under the horrified gazes of many other players. They quickly disappeared at the end of the corridor. Seconds later, the system's loudspeaker announced, "Player number 47 poses a serious threat to public health and safety, has been forcibly removed from the game area for isolation and processing. Eliminated, debt of 4 billion. Player number 87 poses a serious threat to public health and safety, has been forcibly removed from the game area for isolation and processing. Eliminated, debt of 4 billion. The players looked at each other, their eyes full of suspicion. Number 87 rummaged through the trash for food yesterday, and today had nonstop diarrhea. You couldn't get a cold, and you couldn't get diarrhea either. I use water to exchange for food within the team. Who will be the next one?" Just hearing someone next to you clear their throat was enough to make your heart pound and your legs tremble. I had learned another rule of the game. You must not get sick, even a mild cold or diarrhea. You will be removed from the game area. I survived the day, relying on the scavenged bread and crackers. The temperature in the airport was even colder today, truly like an ice cellar. I found something in the trash can, a specialized metallic thermal blanket for mountaineers. Wrapping it around my body finally helped me maintain my body temperature. Time passed to the 4th day, and the number of eliminated people grew larger and larger. Waking up early in the morning, I decided to go retrieve today's bread and crackers. I skillfully avoided the crowd, heading toward the first hiding spot. It was a gap between the base of a giant potted plant and the wall, located behind a secluded restroom. Approaching, I squatted down, reached my hand into that familiar gap to feel around. Empty. There was absolutely nothing inside. My heart sank, but refusing to give up, I carefully searched one more time. I couldn't even find a single crumb of a cracker. I couldn't think much further. I sprinted toward the next location. Nothing, still nothing. All 4 cracker hiding spots had been cleared out by someone else. Dozens of bags of life-saving soda crackers and bread had vanished without a trace overnight. What was supposed to be a guaranteed win had now been completely overturned. Being able to accurately find all the locations in one night and quietly clearing them out was absolutely not something an ordinary player could do. Who exactly was watching me? My mood instantly plummeted into an abyss. I shamelessly went to look for food samples again, but there were more and more players fighting for them. The shop owners had become vigilant and hid all the samples. Even the coffee shop's condiment counter was empty. The sugar packets had all been collected by the waiters. and the trash cans had become a battlefield for players. There were still many players braving the risk of stomachaches to dig for food in the trash. By the time I went looking, not even a scrap of food could be seen. Holding out like this until 10 p.m., my indicators were all flashing red. I walked toward a row of luxury brand stores in the airport. The other players nearby whispered, "This guy is probably about to be eliminated. What good is going to a luxury store?" But in a trash can not far from the luxury store, I had found several bags and boxes that others had thrown away. Many tourists, in order to evade taxes, chose to throw the boxes away at the airport before departing. On the fourth day of the game, I carefully stuffed the boxes into the most intact paper bag. On the fourth day of the game, before going down to the departure hall on the first floor. During my scouting, I had discovered that there was actually a hot pot restaurant open there. So now I had to go there to find a free place to rest and also get some free food. Pushing open the heavy glass door, the warmth and the aroma of butter hot pot rushed into my face. A waitress with a sweet smile came running over to greet me. "Welcome. How many in your party, sir?" "2 people." I casually placed the conspicuous luxury brand bag in my hand onto the chair next to me. "Find me a slightly quiet spot to wait for someone." The waitress's eyes glanced over the bag in my hand. Her smile grew even brighter. "Yes, sir. Please come this way." Someone who could buy so many luxury goods was absolutely not a penniless pauper coming to freeload. She led me to a soft sofa seat, semi-enclosed. The privacy was extremely good. The moment I sat down, I immediately pulled out my phone. My fingertips swiped quickly across the screen, dialing a non-existent phone number. Right as the call connected, my voice, choked up as if I was about to cry, rang out in the relatively quiet area. "I'm waiting for you at the hot pot restaurant in the airport. I already bought the plane ticket to Davari for 3 a.m. If you don't come, then don't even dream of ever seeing me again in this lifetime." I slammed the phone hard onto the table, my sockets instantly filling with tears. The waitress quickly brought out a steaming bowl of silver ear mushroom soup, a small plate of fruits, her gentle voice almost dripping with water. "Sir, please calm down. Drink something to soothe your throat. Did your girlfriend make you angry?" My voice was thick with emotion. "Thank you. Thinking about how he's with his dream girl right now, I can't swallow a thing." The waitress placed the silver ear soup in front of me. "The sadder you are, the more you have to eat, sir. If you don't eat your fill, how will you have the strength to wait for him to regret it and come back?" I nodded, took the bowl of soup, and took small sips. The warm, sweet liquid flowed down my parched throat. My hunger was screaming, but right now I had to force myself to endure it. Very quickly, the waitress brought out a free bowl of steamed egg. I stood up in a daze and went to the condiment counter. I scooped 3 full spoonfuls of minced beef and quickly poured it into the steamed egg. I sat back down, trying to suppress the urge to devour it ravenously. Using the most elegant posture, I ate it small bite by small bite. At the same time, from the corner of my eye, I warily glanced at the waitress and the manager. At this point, the waitress seemed as if she had a radar attached. "Sir, seeing that you are in a bad mood, would you like to try our new tomato soup? It's sweet and sour, very easy to eat." And so an appetizingly colored bowl of tomato soup was placed in front of me. "Let me get you some snacks." A free plate of French fries was brought out right after. The waiter passed by once again, his eyes full of gossip and sympathy. With a single glance, I immediately switched modes. Tears once again welled up in my eyes, my voice trembling with despair. Does he really not want me anymore? I didn't actually mean to. I lower my head right on cue, my shoulders beginning to shake violently. "Oh dear, don't cry, sir." The waiter panicked and immediately brought over a giant teddy bear, stuffing it into my arms. "Let this stay by your side. You're so handsome, you will definitely regret it." Holding the soft teddy bear, a feeling of exhaustion crashed over me like a tsunami. The energy bar was flashing red. I had to rest. I secretly set a vibrating alarm for midnight, then hugged the bear in a state of utter physical and mental exhaustion. I curled up on the soft sofa and closed my eyes. Before my consciousness blurred, I prayed not to be kicked out. I didn't know how long I had slept, but the waiter suddenly woke me up. "Sir, your flight is about to take off soon, isn't it?" My phone also vibrated frantically at exactly that moment. This was the alarm I had set. In an instant, I lunged for the phone, not even looking at the caller ID. I screamed into the microphone the lines I had prepared in advance. "I've been waiting for you at the Hot Pot restaurant for 4 hours. You still refuse to come? Is that man really that important? I have to go. I really have to leave now. Just come see me one last time, okay?" Hanging up the phone, I buried my face into the teddy bear. In the eyes of others, I was secretly sobbing. The manager stopped in his tracks, shaking his head, and the attentive waiter brought a blanket for me. I slept the whole night on the large sofa. Early the next morning, as I prepared to leave, the waiter even specially brought soy milk, porridge, a boiled egg, tea, and other free items, his eyes full of encouragement. "Cheer up, sir. Forget about that jerk. You will meet someone better. Congratulations on your rebirth." Because I hadn't consumed anything that cost money, I naturally didn't have to pay. I murmured a word of thanks, then turned and walked out of the glass doors. My energy bar had fully recovered, and my hunger bar was full. This method was quite shameless, and what's more, it could only be used once. And I had already used this trump card. Very quickly, the game entered its 5th day. Just as I stepped out of the Hot Pot restaurant, I ran into Ngo Chi and the others. His team had grown to over 20 people. They were dividing crackers. Seeing the cracker packaging, my mind exploded with a boom. Those were my lost crackers. On each bag, I had deliberately torn a corner to mark them. I angrily stomped over. I pointed at him. "You stole my crackers. Don't be mad. I told you early on to join my team, but you wouldn't listen. Give the crackers back to me. Look at my teammates over there. Do they want to give them back to you?" Ngo Chi pointed at the 20-something pairs of eyes shining with greed behind his back. I grabbed a handful of crackers that he shoved over, taking a step back. I spoke up and asked, "Can I still join you guys now?" "Number 66, it's too late." Ngo Chi smiled, his face looking honest and amiable. This game was never a solo game from the start. Players can only survive by forming groups to plunder other players' resources. You have no money and no food. You have absolutely no exploitation value left. Therefore, you can only be eliminated. At this point, what else do you want to say? The system suddenly issued a directive. "Players, welcome to the 5th day to add more fun to the game. Starting today, all water dispensers in the airport will stop supplying water. The water source in the restrooms has been contaminated and cannot be consumed." The players couldn't hold back anymore and started cursing on the public channel. "What the hell, screw you guys. There's no water and there's still 3 days left. Do you want us to die?" The players in Ngo Chi's team also started to murmur. Fear had overshadowed the brief joy of having just been given food. Water is even more important than food, but Ngo Chi wasn't tense at all. He raised his hand to quiet the commotion, his voice remaining calm. "What's there to panic about?" He shot me a sideways glance. Then he continued speaking to the other players. "Other players still have water. Just rob them." My heart suddenly sank, but it was too late to run away. Over 20 pairs of bloodshot eyes immediately locked onto me. Like a pack of wolves smelling blood, they madly lunged forward. "Let go, this is mine." I tightly hugged my backpack, but how could 2 hands fight off so many people? The backpack straps were violently ripped off. The zipper was torn open, and the heavy mineral water bottles were violently snatched away. The few remaining sugar packets inside also spilled onto the ground. In the blink of an eye, it was all snatched clean. I was shoved hard and fell flat on the ground. Ngo Chi coldly said, "Sparing your life is already merciful enough." I crawled up and ran away, not because I wanted to escape that shameless guy, but to go rob water. I had to act before everyone else could react. To get to that place, the liquid disposal area designated by airport security. Liquid containers carried by passengers cannot exceed 100 milliliters in volume. At the security gates, passengers would have to throw mineral water, soft drinks, and juices directly into large trash cans or special collection bins placed nearby. Right now, at the domestic terminal security gates, there were 3 transparent plastic bins, half a person tall, lined up side by side with an astonishing capacity. Inside, they were filled with half-drank or even unopened mineral water bottles. And there were two security support staff members in uniform who were NPCs standing nearby. Obviously, I couldn't just dig through the trash bins directly. Doing so would trigger the security alarm. I couldn't wait any longer. The opportunity would pass very quickly. Weeping and wailing, I pushed through the crowd lining up. I successfully attracted the security guard's attention. "Passenger, please line up." A security guard frowned and stopped me. I'm sorry, brother," I babbled, looking genuinely panicked. I pointed at the trash bin and said, "I think my ring fell in there. It's a family heirloom my grandmother left me. I beg you, let me go over there and look for a bit. Just a moment, I'm begging you." Saying that, my tears just kept falling. It looked incredibly genuine. The security guard froze for a moment. He stepped aside to make way. "Hurry up, don't affect the security checks for the people behind you." "Thank you, brother." I thanked him profusely. I immediately rushed toward the trash bins. To avoid affecting everyone, I took the trash bags out and put them on the side to rummage through. And so, I sneakily stacked 3 large trash bags from inside the bins and quickly moved to a place where the security guard couldn't see. "Oh, mother, with this much water, I can definitely hold out for 3 days." I quickly emptied one bag, then put the unopened water bottles inside. I quickly walked away from the security area, my heart pounding as if it were going to explode. I didn't dare to stop, rushing straight into a nearby place. A relatively deserted handicapped restroom, and then I locked the door. I absolutely could not let other players know that I alone had this much water. I stepped onto the toilet and pushed open the ceiling panel of the restroom. I hid a portion of the water up in the ceiling, then left the restroom again. I found a gap and carefully hid the remaining water. Using the old trick, I obtained another large amount of water. Still hiding it carefully as before, it wasn't because I was greedy, but because I had a bigger plan. They swept through like locusts. Whenever they caught a player, they would strip them of their water and food. They wouldn't even spare a piece of cracker. As long as someone dared to resist, they would punch and kick the player relentlessly. And the NPCs turned a blind eye to their violent behavior. No security guards came to intervene either. Suddenly, with a thud, a player fell to the ground due to low blood sugar and soon stopped moving. "Is he dead?" another player asked in panic. Several people in white coats carrying a stretcher appeared. They quickly loaded the player onto the stretcher, then covered him with a white cloth. Everything happened so fast in the blink of an eye. Very soon after, the system started broadcasting again. Player number 93, experience points reached 0. Eliminated, debt of 4 billion. Today, the number of eliminated players on the loudspeaker was especially high. The number of players was decreasing at a dizzying rate. I needed to find suitable targets to form an alliance, to build a team that could stand against that group of shameless thugs. In my mind, the faces I had observed over the past few days quickly flashed by. A group of figures stopped in my mind. It was a small group of 6 people, led by player number 1, who looked very sharp. The other members all had their own distinct looks, all of them tall and strong young men. I found them in the arrivals hall. I observed them for a while and noticed their condition wasn't very good. One of their lips had started to crack. Another man kept licking his lips. It was obvious they lacked water. This was an opportunity. I carried the luxury bag and walked up to them. "Hello, everyone. I'm Ly Shuyan, player number 66. I want to join your team." Player number 48 stood up and looked at me warily. "Go away. We're not taking any more people." I handed the bag over. Inside were 3 bottles of water. Everyone's eyes lit up. I spoke frankly. I have a safe water source that can ensure basic drinking water for the whole team. In exchange, I want to join your team and share your food. How much water do you have? If used sparingly, is it enough for each of us to hold out for the remaining 3 days? No problem, no problem, player number 33 interjected eagerly. His eyes were probing, but I decisively refused. You just need to know that I have a way to get water and am willing to share it. That's enough for the team. The location of the water storage is known only to me. This is my trump card. Player number 48 turned his head and quickly exchanged glances with his teammates. All right, Ly Shuyan, welcome aboard. I am Luke Mack. To join our team, the rule is to absolutely never betray your teammates. Player number 48 finally made the decision, extending his hand toward me. I nodded, happy cooperating. The dawn of the sixth day did not bring hope, but a deeper despair. I went alone to the security check area, hoping to get a little more water. But I saw 5 security guards standing there, staring intently at the trash bins. It seemed the system had blocked this path as well. The last stable water source was cut off. Players who had endured thirst all day yesterday couldn't hold back and drank the water in the restrooms. The virus took them down, and they were eliminated from the game. Right at this moment, the airport's loudspeaker suddenly blared without warning. The public chat channel was instantly flooded with words of despair and cursing. This damn system just wants all of us to fall into debt. We've all been tricked by it. First it cuts off the water source. Now it sets up tricks to make players slaughter each other. Too cunning. Everyone stay calm. Going to Terminal T3 now is practically walking into a death trap. Before long, panic began to spread among the teams. NGOCHI's team was the largest. They had the highest chance of getting the emergency supply crate. Currently, there were only 5 people left. NGOCHI monopolized 25 spots, meaning the remaining 20 people. If their stats didn't miraculously increase, then tonight would be the end of the world. Everyone would be eliminated. We absolutely could not let that shameless guy get the emergency supply crate. Luke Mack's eyes fixed on me. Ly Shuyan, tell me, how does a penniless pauper turn the tables in a deadly situation? The survival method of the poor has never been direct confrontation, but slipping through the cracks. Finding loopholes, creating chaos, fishing in troubled waters. The first emergency supply crate has appeared. Staff break room. Basement level B2, Terminal T3. Sure enough, following the sound of footsteps echoing from afar, that shameless guy's team was marching aggressively toward Terminal T3. Luke Mack prepared to lead us out. Don't let them get there first. Wait, I pulled him back. The location is in the staff break room. Do you know what that place means? I suddenly understood. The first supply crate was definitely a trap that would cause the first person who arrived to be eliminated. The system turning off all free water dispensers and sending security guards to guard the trash bins was a constant reinforcement of the NPC rules. You cannot defy these strict rules. The staff area is a restricted zone. Ordinary players absolutely cannot enter. Once they barge in, the system will definitely deem it illegal trespassing and eliminate them directly. Did NGOCHI send anyone to barge in? I don't think he would do that. I sent a Chet and Q-Man to scout the situation. They sent news back. NGOCHI indeed didn't let his team continue into the restricted zone, but split his forces into 2 to stand guard, blocking the path leading to the staff break room. His strategy is a blockade, preventing others from getting it, but not touching that hot potato himself either. As long as other players can't get the supplies, their team still holds the advantage. A few solo players were lingering on the fringes, their eyes both desperate and crazed. Their stats were definitely at the bottom of the ranks. They would definitely be eliminated tonight. This kind of person is the easiest to use. I hid behind a pillar and quietly discussed with my teammates the access card to the staff break room. It's in the fire hydrant cabinet right next to it. Real or fake? Did the system put there on purpose? Keep your voice down. NGOCHI's people are guarding outside the door. We'll wait for the right moment to go get the access card. A solo player standing in front of the pillar happened to overhear this. He immediately acted as if injected with chicken blood and lunged toward that fire hydrant cabinet. Stop him, NGOCHI ordered, but it was too late. The player violently yanked open the glass door of the fire hydrant cabinet. There was absolutely no access card inside. He had triggered the alarm, and the piercing fire alarm instantly echoed throughout Basement B2. Almost at the same time, 6 fully armed security guards holding riot batons appeared like divine troops descending from the sky. The scene instantly descended into chaos. The security guards didn't care who had opened the fire hydrant cabinet. Ngiochi's team, along with the player who had opened the cabinet, were all pushed out by the riot batons. The elimination announcement on the loudspeaker rang out soon after. Ngiochi instantly lost 5 people. His team was reduced to 20 people. They didn't get the supply crate, and they gained absolutely nothing. At this time, the second supply crate was unlocked. The second emergency supply crate has appeared. Terminal T3, floor LB3, entrance to the VIP lounge. The door to the VIP lounge. There's usually a reception desk and dedicated service staff. The environment is more high-end. Security is also stricter. We observe from afar. The elevator leading to the L3 VIP area was already guarded by Ngiochi's people. And on the tea table in the VIP lounge lobby, that silver supply crate stood out prominently. What do we do now? Getting close this time is even harder, Q-Man said anxiously. I handed my phone to Q-Man. Take this to the lost and found counter. I'm a guy. Why are you asking me to take it to the lost and found counter? Q-Man asked in surprise. I told you to go. Just go quickly. I urged purposefully. Q-Man handed my phone over to the lost and found counter. Half an hour later, I went to the lost and found counter and asked with feigned anxiety. I lost a phone and a VIP lounge card. While wandering the airport, I had also sat staking out outside the VIP lounge. Hoping to find something to eat, I had paid attention to the passengers going inside. They all used a black VIP card to swipe in. In this damn airport, I didn't believe no one had ever dropped a VIP card. I described the appearance of the phone and the VIP card to the staff member. The staff member really did find my phone. And a VIP card. Are these the 2 items? Yes, that's them. Saying that, I excitedly received the phone and the card back. Thank you, brother. Wait, you need to provide proof. The staff member beside him drew the other staff's attention. I took the opportunity to use my face to unlock the phone and secretly took a picture of the card. Having done all that, I showed it to the staff member. Look, my face can unlock the phone. And as for the VIP card, I happen to have taken a picture of it. The staff member confirmed there were no errors and let me go. I walked to the VIP reception desk, just as a group of passengers was heading to the VIP lounge. There was a dedicated electric cart taking them straight to the door. I took the opportunity to climb onto the cart, blending in among the passengers. Evading Ngiochi's spies, I casually rode the cart right to the door of the VIP lounge. The security guard took the card, swiped it through the machine once, and the green light turned on. Welcome, Platinum member. Please come in. Ngiochi, who had been observing the VIP lounge all along, suddenly shouted, that card must be stolen by him. I secretly cursed in my heart. This chubby guy was too sinister. Luke Mack led our people and clashed with Ngiochi's people at the elevator doors. 6 people fighting 10 people wasn't too much of a disadvantage. Taking advantage of the chaos, I quickly squeezed through the glass doors. Grabbing the supply crate, the system's voice sounded like a mockery. Congratulations to player number 66 for obtaining the supply crate. The items inside the supply crate can only be used by players designated by player number 66. Illegal plunderers will not be able to use them. The third emergency supply crate has appeared on the roof of the Central Information Desk in Terminal T3. That was a completely open area with no cover. No restricted zone traps, no VIP rules. It was purely an arena for comparing strength and speed. Ngiochi decisively abandoned the entanglement, ordering his teammates to quickly move to the information desk. There was no one guarding the VIP lounge door anymore. I carried the supply crate out and opened it. Inside it was packed with enough supplies for the 7 of us to eat and drink for a day. As long as we fully replenished our 3 indicators, we couldn't possibly be eliminated tonight. Ly Shuyan, this time we're lucky we had you. The other players were rushing toward the 3rd supply crate, while we frantically replenished our energy on the spot, preparing for the final supply crate. Ngiochi completely shed his disguise, displaying the most naked violence. The remaining players and Ngiochi's teammates clashed head-on, fighting until heads were broken and blood flowed. In the end, NGO Chi's faction still had more people and gained the upper hand. The few of us stood from afar watching the good show. Luke Max said, "Fighting until their heads are smashed. There's only one supply crate, not enough for NGO Chi's teammates to replenish. The first crate was too hard to get. I'm afraid his team is in danger this round." The system's cold countdown clock quietly ticked away. 11:50 p.m., the air in the terminal was suffocating to the extreme. The system began to tally up. Based on the comprehensive ranking of hunger, thirst, and energy indicators, the following 20 players with the lowest indicators will be eliminated. The cold, emotionless electronic voice read out each ID number. Except for our 7-person team, all the other solo players were eliminated. Even the people in NGO Chi's team, over one supply crate. Due to uneven distribution of supplies, ultimately only 13 people remained. As the voice ceased, the whole airport sank into a deathly silence. 20 people, for billion each, meant the total prize was 20 million, contextually 20 billion, but translating literally 20 million. And if all players are eliminated, the final winner would monopolize the 20 million. Plus the rest, the total was 120 million. This number was enough to drive anyone insane. The shameless guy looked at us from afar, his eyes revealing a bloodthirsty gaze. He licked his lips and told his teammates that he didn't want everyone harming each other. But our team has more people, we have the advantage. We take care of the 7 players over there. Then the 13 of us split the 120 million prize money evenly. This is the most secure way. On our side, everyone had extremely heavy eyes. Everyone stay calm. Don't fall for the system's trap. The shameless guy's team will definitely unite to kill all of us first. So we cannot slaughter each other. The 7 of US will take care of their 13 people, then split the 120 million prize money evenly. This is the optimal plan right now. The chubby guy collapsed on the ground. How can we kill them? We have fewer people than them. Now we can only wait for death. Let's find somewhere to hide first, to make them scatter. I suggest I know a place. A piercing alarm blared, but not from any loudspeaker. It drilled straight into the brain. A second ago, there were bustling NPC passengers. Staff, security, all vanished without a trace. The vast Terminal T3 only had us 20 players left. Run. The survival instinct overpowered fear. The 7 of us ran for our lives. The moment we stepped into the elevator, I frantically pressed the closed door button. The elevator doors closed right in front of NGO Chi's distorted face. Damn it, don't let them escape. Eliminate them. The shouts of their people. The elevator plummeted rapidly, taking us to the basement parking garage. Here, hot, humid air mixed with the smell of gasoline and dust hit our faces. We immediately scattered, like panicked mice, each finding a place to hide. Almost the very next second after we finished hiding, NGO Chi led his people charging into the parking garage from the stairwell. 20 players hiding in the massive parking garage. If I just stalled for time, I still had hope of surviving. I held my breath, like a cold stone flattened against the ground. Through the narrow gap under a car chassis, I observed the situation outside. Number 9 eliminated by a player, for billion has been transferred to the account of the killer. Who was it? Who killed him? Was it someone on our side? Right after that came the sounds of fighting and the agonizing screams of the chubby guy. Not long after, the news of the chubby guy's elimination was broadcast. The players scattered throughout the garage, occasionally emitting agonizing screams. The loudspeaker continuously announced news of players being eliminated. Number 21 eliminated by his own people. The situation grew even more chaotic. Selfishness engulfed the players. Trust was on the verge of collapsing. An anonymous voice on the loudspeaker rang out again. Go kill NGO Chi. Eliminate him. Split 200 million. This news immediately blew up the entire parking garage. What? NGO Chi was the champion of the last season? No wonder he's so strong. Damn it, we've been tricked, NGO Chi hurriedly explained. Don't listen to that anonymous guy spouting nonsense. I'm like everyone else. This is my first time participating, but no one believed him anymore. Facing a massive benefit, Reason collapsed in an instant. Kill him, and we'll see if there's 200 million or not. Kill him! Kill him! The chaotic brawl erupted again. This time, everyone was seeing red, madly slaughtering for the legendary 200 million prize money. Taking advantage of the chaos, I found an unlocked SUV and quietly slipped into the pitch-black space of the trunk. The chaotic brawl erupted again. This time, everyone was seeing red, madly slaughtering for the legendary 200 million prize money. Taking advantage of the chaos, I found an unlocked SUV and quietly slipped into the pitch-black space of the trunk. Time ticked by minute, the sounds outside growing fewer and fewer, until a certain moment, the parking garage had returned to complete silence. I carefully looked out through a crack, only to see the ground littered with corpses. Right at this moment, a familiar voice rang out. Ly Shuyan, Ly Shuyan, where are you? It was Luke Mack's voice. I caught Ngo. Come out quickly. We'll kill him together, and then we can split the 200 million. Through the crack, I saw Luke Mack tying up Ngo. I held my breath, not daring to answer him. Luke Mack walked past the front of my car. I was just secretly breathing a sigh of relief when, the very next second, the trunk was violently yanked open. The blindingly bright red taillights instantly flooded in. So, you're here. Made me look for you to death. Made me search so tiredly. The game of hide-and-seek is over. Number 66. Luke Mack's voice carried a nauseating mockery. An icy terror immediately gripped my heart. Luke Mack grabbed me tightly, dragging me out of the trunk. You guys are indeed on the same side. The so-called pursuit, the so-called team antagonism, it was all a staged act you two put on. The goal was to exploit the rules to borrow a knife to kill, eliminating all the players standing in your way. In the end, only the two of you would be left to split all the prize money. You guys are thoroughly familiar with the rules, using anonymous identities to lead the players to rob and overspend, and then you sit back and reap the benefits. You knew the final day would definitely be a massive slaughter, so Ngo started gathering a team from the very beginning, and Luke Mack deliberately stood on the opposite side of Ngo to make it convenient for the two teams to slaughter each other on the final day, for you guys to reap the benefits. Luke Mack wore a teasing smile on his face. Ly Shuyan, you're really smart. Thanks for these past few days. Ngo finally lost all his patience. He struggled and roared, Lao Luke, let me go. Why waste breath talking nonsense with him? Just send him on his way directly. Luke Mack coldly glanced at Ngo. Let you go? What are you joking about? The two of us splitting 100 million. How could that compare to me swallowing it all by myself? Furthermore, the 200 million you accumulated in the previous round should also belong to me. Saying that, he used a move to eliminate Ngo. Luke Mack then sneered. Forgot to tell you, that final anonymous message was sent by me. Player number 44 is eliminated. Resurrection egg announced. Player number 44 is the champion of the previous season. The total accumulated amount of 200 million has been transferred to the hunter's account. At this moment, Luke Mack was admiring his spoils of war. It was right at this moment that I suddenly sprayed a can of Superhold hairspray into Luke Mack's face. A cloud of hairspray was sprayed accurately into Luke Mack's face. Luke Mack let out an agonizing scream. He clutched his face and staggered backward, bending over in pain. I used both hands and feet to lunge toward the driver's seat. While hiding there earlier, I had already confirmed it. This car not only had an unlocked trunk, but the driver's side door was also unlocked, and the key was still in the ignition. Luke Mack shouted loudly, Number 66, I'll skin you alive. Disregarding the pain, like a maddened lion, he lunged forward. The dagger grazed my head, stabbing deeply into the leather seat of the car. My fingers touched the cold metal key. I gave a hard twist, vroom, vroom. The engine let out a deep roar and instantly started. Almost at the same time, I shifted into gear, my right foot using every ounce of strength I had. I slammed on the gas pedal. Luke Mack completely didn't expect this car to suddenly start. His body was knocked flying into the air by an extreme impact force, then heavily plummeted to the ground. But he still tried to crawl up. I shifted into reverse and drove the car toward him. Not long after, the system issued its final announcement. Player number 48 is eliminated. Resurrection egg announced. Player number 48 is the champion of the previous season. The total accumulated amount of 180 million has been transferred to the hunter's account. Number of surviving players, 1. Congratulations to the player. Player number 66 has survived to the very end, becoming the sole champion of this Lost Airport round. Player number 66 receives the prize money in this round, 130 million plus 200 million plus 130 million, totaling 500 million in prize money. I struggled to crawl out of the driver's seat, my body covered in grease and dust. There was no frantic joy, only a weariness that seeped into my marrow. A flash of white light flared, and I appeared again in the original void-like game world. Beside my ear was the system's whisper. You now have 500 million in prize money. Live well, but according to the rules, the champion is not allowed to leave the game. Otherwise, you'll have to bear a debt of 500 million. The white light gradually faded. I saw that the space around me was filled with people, everyone opening their eyes wide, observing the surroundings with panic and suspicion. The system welcomed 100 players to the poor man's game. Initial capital is 200,000. The goal, survive 7 days in the game. Disclaimer, all content, characters, settings, and events are products of my imagination and were created for entertainment purposes only.